Good morning, guys. I hope we're all sparkly. We talk about earning your reward all the time. And if the reward is dopamine, that is the destination. So does everything revolve around dopamine? Well, yes and no, because it's about everything. Because if you have consistently high dopamine levels, how do you feel? Well, what would happen to the receptor? It would downregulate. And if consciousness is anything, it's about the subjective appreciation of subtle changes in physiology. So you don't want consistently high dopamine levels. What do you want to do? You want to earn your reward. You want to put effort in to earn your reward. Does that mean that effort is part of the reward? Yes, because life is not about destinations. It's about the journey, appreciating every single moment of the journey. So the hardship, as hard as it appears, is it fun? Yes. Wow, what hardship's fun? Well, just imagine this. You go to the gym, you're lifting heavy weights. That initially is not fun because it's hard. So is it literally the outcome, the destination, or the activity that makes it fun? Well, it's in part, yes, obviously the outcome. You're going to get big muscles. You're going to get a reward. You're going to get your endorphins from doing hard physical exercise. But you learn to actually appreciate and enjoy the hardship. So it gets quite complicated, doesn't it, from a neurotransmitter and hormone perspective? So are you getting a bit of dopamine from effort? Well, yes and no. So what happens? Well, let's break things down and talk about the diurnal variation of testosterone levels. So you know that your anabolic processes predominate at nighttime. You are predominantly, and yes, it's predominantly anabolic at nighttime, and you're predominantly, yes, only predominantly catabolic in the daytime. So you're recovering from the day to prepare for the next day. Your activity, reward. So you're active in the first part of the day to earn your reward, food, to then transition to rest, to then transition to sleep. Day, night, day, night, day, night. So your body couldn't care less about your emotions. When you train for a big event, you've trained months for this one event. After that event, what happens? Well, you tend to crash. Well, why is that? Well, you've had your massive dopamine hit and reward from the event, enduring the hardship of training, enduring the hardship of the actual event, and then it's over. And this is why we need daily practices in place to combat our cognitive dissonance. So start the day off with a little win. Just tell yourself today's going to be a good day. Do an ice bath. Do some activity. Active, reward, food, rest, sleep. You need daily practices because what? Yes, we follow this diurnal pattern. Day, night, day, night, day, night. So we should have goals, but understand the goals need to be replaced by other goals and daily practices to combat the sadness of completing something, which is paradoxical, isn't it? We should be buzzing on cloud 9 forever, but life is about movement. So progress, keep going, keep going, keep going. So we're about to do 3 marathons in 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be hard. I'm so excited about the hardship. We are going to do it because my brain won't ever give up, but it's going to be hard, and I'm going to enjoy, I'm going to endure, and I'm going to conquer, because it is about appreciating every single moment, not just the result. So we did Kilimanjaro about a month ago, and immediately afterwards, Lydia said, you'd have to be a masochist to recommend that to anybody else. The next day, what should we do next? So we're going to do Mont Blanc next summer. We are apparently masochists, because you realize that actually the effort is part of your reward, and you have to get going. So depression, It's a complicated subject, but it's a symptom. So we've said before, we need to be physically active. We are physical beings in a world full of psychological stressors. And the further we travel away from nature, the worse our physical and psychological health becomes. It is all-encompassing. We need to have a more fundamental understanding of our physiology to improve our psychology, because as I've said before, your emotions couldn't care less about your body, and your body couldn't care less about your emotions. So they're almost two distinct separate entities, but we are physical beings. If we go back to the idea that we are hunter-gatherers, much like all animals, they wake up, they have to survive. So what do they have to do? They have to find food. So yeah, we are hunter-gatherers. So wake up, start building little wins, earn the reward. Massive fan of intermittent fasting for that very reason. Don't satisfy this and eat breakfast. Place yourself in some adversity, even if it's just not eating, to earn your reward. And then your physical health will improve, your psychological health will improve, and then you can learn to trust your emotions a little bit more, because as Goggins says, you will have built up some calluses in your mind. Now, you don't have to be Goggins, obviously, but you have to be stronger than you believe you are, because we live in a cotton wool world where you say, you don't need to do that. You can just take that. Earn your reward. Don't take the path of least resistance, even though you would argue that taking the path of least resistance has an evolutionary benefit, because why would you put effort in when you can just take a path of least resistance to maximum reward? Makes sense. But we don't live in the real world, do we? So earn your reward. Fundamentally, we are animals. Understand that. So effort is part of your reward. It's an invaluable part of your reward. And often we've made bad choices. We've all made bad choices. We repeatedly make bad choices. That's okay. We're humans. Now, with the insight and understanding of what you're supposed to be doing, if you make a bad choice again, you can still do it, but make sure you're considered about it. So we talk about alcohol all the time, because alcohol is a poison, but it's such an important part of our society. Crazy, isn't it? I'm going to celebrate with alcohol. I'm going to commiserate with alcohol. I've had a hard week at work. I'm going to get drunk. I'm just going to have a couple of drinks just to relax. So what are you doing? Well, you're suppressing glutamate, which is why you feel good. And you have a lovely time. And then the next day you feel a little bit heightened, a little bit anxious, not quite as calm as you felt when you were drinking alcohol. You don't achieve as much as you would achieve if you had a good night's sleep, because it's dysregulated your sleep. We've been over this before. So your brain goes, I remember when I felt good. That was when I was drinking. So Friday comes along and you have a drink. So you've suppressed glutamate to then allow it to fire super hard, and your body's gone, where have you been? I need to fire hard because I need to survive. Where am I? What's going on? And your conscious brain's going, I'm anxious about X, Y, Z. So we've lost our survival instincts and drives, but they're still there. So with that fundamental understanding now, you go, well, I still want to get drunk. Well, you can still get drunk, but understand the consequences of your actions. Be considered. Testosterone allows you, because we call it the calming hormone, to be more considered about your decisions. So we talk about that seesaw, don't we? One side of the seesaw is your stress, neurotransmitters and hormones. On the other side is your anabolic hormones and your parasympathetic nervous system. When you've got low testosterone, and if you live in a weird world, as we do, you've got stress, oversaturated, overstimulated with nonsense. And then on the other side, you've got your testosterone and your parasympathetic nervous system. So the seesaw goes like this, doesn't it? Stress. And eventually you drive yourself into this permanent state of stress, which we don't like. But you can combat that with booze. No, you can't combat that with booze. You know you can't. You know, my word, one more time. So yeah, we can raise your testosterone levels back up to normal, but you then have to put the work in on the parasympathetic nervous system to calm your brain down so that you can be more considered. So if you make a bad choice, make it a considered choice, understand the consequences of your actions, and if you still want to do it, by all means do it. But at least it's been considered. So eventually you'll be going, well, I don't want to make that decision anymore. That is stupid, because if your brain is working, and if it's working with healthy testosterone levels and parasympathetic work, and you're still making bad choices, even though you know the outcome of that bad choice is negative, and that's not what you want to achieve in the long time, nobody's going to remember you for being fun, Dr. Rob, drunk all the time. You want to leave a legacy. You want to be the master. You want to be the captain of your own ship. Any more weird analogies? But it's true, isn't it? You want to lead by example. So earn your reward.